Peace, everybody. I came across this story. It's a continuation of the story I reported on earlier last month about over 200 indigenous children were found in a mass grave in British Columbia, in Canada, at a residential school, a Catholic school that was in charge of teaching the children how to assimilate into the dominant Caucasian controlled conqueror colonized society, right? So it was discovered that the children were actually murdered and put in a mass grave. So they found the mass grave in British Columbia last year. So a lot of the indigenous Native American Indian tribes leaders called for more investigations into other schools who had similar purposes of teaching the so-called indigenous children. And even in the United States, people like Booker T. Washington, when he was a teacher at Hampton University before he created Tuskegee Institute, he was in charge of teaching Indian children how to assimilate into so-called American culture. A lot of HBCUs had a similar task, but of course, they didn't destroy the children. But I guess when the Caucasians, the Catholic schools, was in charge of teaching the Indian children, instead of them actually teaching the Indian children, they just brutalized and murdered them. And this is a new discovery that happened, I think, yesterday. Let's say June 24th in Saskatchewan, Canada. Over 700 unmarked graves found at a former school. So, 700 children. Now, you telling me the Indian tribes who claim to be Indian tribes didn't notice that 700 children was missing? And look at some of these children look like black people in this picture they have. Like of this one right here. Some of them look like straight Caucasians. Let me read this. The Indian Residential School, crisis line. Okay. The Kawes First Nations announced today that preliminary findings reveal 751 unmarked graves have been discovered at a former Saskatchewan residential school. This comes just 1 month after the tragic discovery of 215 children buried at a former Kamloops residential school. The nation points out that this wasn't a mass grave, but unmarked graves that had been there, that had their headstones removed, sometimes in the 60s. Some of the information they revealed could be triggered by some of the information could be triggered. Now look at this: the nuns, some of the Caucasian children in there. In a Facebook live stream, Cowanese chief Cadmus Delamon broke the news. We started our radar penetrating research on June 2nd, 2021, said Chief Delorme. Over the past year, the oral stories of our elders, of our survivors, and friends of our survivors have told us stories that we knew these burials were here. In the 1960s, there may have been marks on these graves. The Catholic Church representatives removed these headstones, and today they are unmarked graves, he added. Chief Delorme shared his stream with viewers to highlight the primary location with the help of a drone. Look at this. This is like a regular, uh, this is like something in Chicago. You know, no mass graves, no headstones, just empty land, right? But there's 751 people under this small area right here. Imagine the millions of people buried all over the United States. The Roman Catholic residential school has impacted us intensely. Today we have generations that may have not went to residential school, but they are feeling the first and second generation of that impact. All we have of all you listening is that you stand by us as we heal and we get stronger. We all must put down our ignorance and accidental racism of not addressing the truth that this country has done has with indigenous people. Now, my take on this situation is this. This is causing uh, massive panic amongst $5 Indians. But we know the $5 Indians paid $5 to be included on the dolls rolls. But we have other Caucasian Indians who may have assumed the identity of these children. Now, when these bodies have been discovered, we could do DNA examinations of these people to find out exactly what so-called nationality they really are and if they have living relatives now, maybe in the United States. Also, they might actually find their actual race. And they might figure out that some of these children who they found, identities might have been stolen by Caucasian people who are perpetrating and pretending to be these children. Like, why would they just kill these children and bury them in a Catholic school? And nobody knew they was missing? None of these Native American First Nation people knew that at least 1,000 children were missing just in 2 schools. Now imagine all of the schools in the United States that was in charge of teaching these children. All the schools in Canada, all the schools in South America. Where did these children go? And why are these children now, these people that we claim to be Native Americans now, look like they're from Europe? This is the truth coming out literally out the ground. The truth literally growing out the ground. And so-called Black American people should take this situation seriously, because these people could literally be our relatives, and because of DNA technology, we can literally trace to see exactly who they are. And this could cause a revolution in the way we look at indigenous people, because these are full-blooded, direct descendants of the people who've been depopulated, colonized, and removed from Canada and the United States. We have living bodies, similar to finding a mummy, and you could do a DNA examination of a ancient Egyptian, which I have never seen a person do. If you want to know exactly what their so-called race is, just do a DNA test and compare their genetics to people who's alive today. They literally could have direct descendants. But a person don't want to do that because they know already what the results will be. But this will expose a lot of the fake Caucasian Indians in Canada, also in the United States, because we have actual living bodies of the people from those time periods preserved in these mass graves. And so-called Black people in America should be very interested in this story, and we should be looking towards the results of the DNA test, or even just call for a DNA examination of these children, because they interest us too. We are very vested in this story right here. This is not somebody else somewhere else. These were children that's been depopulated and dispossessed of land in the United States and Canada, and could be our direct descendants or relatives. We could be their direct descendants. A simple DNA scan and examination will find that. And if their genetics are not the same as the so-called $5 Indians in Canada and in America, they will the truth will show that. The truth will show that, and the truth could show possibly that they were Black people. Why would they just eliminate them and nobody filed the missing person case against 1,000 children? 1,000 children missing in these schools. You know their parents have been destroyed. And look at Kyrie Irving. His mother was a direct descendant of the what tribe was that? The Lakota tribe of the Iroquois Nation on the East Coast, who the Iroquois Nation actually put her up for adoption, literally kicked her out the tribe to deprive her children, which was Kyrie Irving and his sister, of their birthright. But the truth came out, and they found out. And when Kyrie Irving came back to his so-called tribe, it was full of Caucasians. And Kyrie Irving is not a Caucasian. Something is definitely wrong with that situation. I think this will highlight. This is the beginning. This is the tip of the iceberg. I believe literally, probably millions of children of the indigenous people in America shared a similar fate by these wicked, evil Caucasians. Look at this evil man, this murderer. And look, they got the dark skinned Indians in the back hiding, and they mixed in with the Caucasians. Look at that, mixed in with the Caucasians. You don't know who these people are. You don't know when this picture was taken. When was the student that society? You don't know when this picture was taken and what this picture is or who these children are. But we need to know who those children are that's in that mass grave, the 751 of them, and get to this truth. And black people need to get involved and be interested in global affairs and international affairs, not just talking about white supremacy and so-called cultural appropriation and black women always twerking, worrying about their hair, getting their nails done and whatnot. This story right here, because we found something similar recently in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They found a mass grave of hundreds of people that was murdered in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We have a very similar parallel story to the Indians. Mass graves, your land being stolen, looted, and you being displaced and your history being erased. At the same year, literally the same exact year that Tulsa, Oklahoma has been highlighted. Look what's going on over here in Canada, in Saskatchewan and in British Columbia. Hundreds of people being found, children who've been murdered, and their birthright has been stolen by these people. But that's about it today. I want to actually do this video. I wanted to do it yesterday, but I finally was able to hook up. I was finally able to hook up the situation. Hopefully the audio was good. Hopefully everything is all good. But yeah, I just wanted to finish this video. Peace out.